Tyler Perry overcame poverty and abuse to create a one-man, and perhaps we should also say a one-woman media empire. He has started out writing and performing his own theatrical productions, did that in the mid-1990s, and then he came to the movies, and there was Diary of a Mad Black Woman, which grossed more than $50 million. His follow-up this year, Medea's Family Reunion, has already topped that number. And now Mr. Perry, in the voice of his grandmotherly alter ego, Medea Mabel Simmons, has written his first book, Don't Make a Black Woman Take Off Her Earrings. It's published by Riverhead, and I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Perry to my show today. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
So how do you think of this book? Is it self-help? Is it the musings of Medea?
Yeah, it's more musings of Medea. It's her memoirs and things that she's learned over the years, and she's put them into this incredible way of only, she can tell stories, from a comedic standpoint, it's comedic sense, so it works well.
Well, you've been writing the character and then playing the character. So when you write it in book form, do you have to get into the character, or do you just think about the way you'd write a screenplay?
I think about the way I'd write a screenplay, and to whatever subject I'm talking about, I'll do it in the voice. This is how we did. My publicist, Joe Brokaw, at the time, he gave me a tape recorder, and we sat and we talked, and he just asked me things about Medea, her background, her past, and I answered them in the voice.
Really?
Yeah.
I was born in the city a long time ago.
That kind of stuff would come out, and he's got all of these great tapes of those conversations.
So what happens when a black woman, is told to take off her earrings?
Well, not told. When a black woman takes off her earrings, usually it's one of two things. She's going to bed because she's tired for the evening, or somebody has made her extremely angry, and the first thing she does is takes off her earrings, which means she's about to become physical.
Is Medea based on anybody?
Yeah, she's loosely based on my mother and my aunt. She's the
really?
Yeah, my mother and aunt are the NC-17 version of this character, though. I had to tone her down for everybody else.
Because the two movies are PG-13.
Totally, yeah, and all my shows.
Although very on the edge of PG-13.
Right on the edge.
Some of those risque jokes.
Yeah, right on the edge.
That must have been, was it fun growing up with women like that?
Oh, totally. I remember being very young. My mother would take me to the beauty salon with her all the time, to her way of us bonding. And I know more about beauty salons and Lane Bryant and mascara than any man should know, I tell you.
Well, in this book, you talk about hair care and beauty secrets for women.
Yeah.
Even how pregnancy feels.
Yeah, right. Well, that was a stretch. That was an exaggeration. So when people read that part of it, it is pretty funny.
At that moment, you had to become Medea.
I had to totally become Medea.
Tyler Perry could have come up with that.
No, not at all.
Now, you grew up in New Orleans, didn't you?
I did. Born and raised. I left there about 12 years ago.
And then you chose to move to Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
And the films have been made in Atlanta.
Yes, I have this love affair with Atlanta. It represented the promised land for me. I left New Orleans, which is a very dismal and dark place where there was a lot of racism, and I have a love-hate relationship with it because there's no better background to have grown up in. But I got to Atlanta and I saw all of these African-American people doing well. It instantly motivated me to want to be better.
In New Orleans, there is a black majority, but an awful lot of poverty, and Atlanta is really the center of black business in America. Right. But an odd place to make movies, isn't it?
Odd place to make movies, but I love it. It feels like home to me, and I need to be in a place where I'm comfortable, especially for Diary of a Mad Black Woman, because that was a place where my first film, and I needed to be comfortable so that I could make the best film that I could make.
We're talking with Tyler Perry, who has written, produced, acted in Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Medea's Family Reunion. He also directed Medea's Family Reunion. He has now written a book called Medea's Uninhibited Commentaries on Love and Life. Don't Make a Black Woman Take Off Her Earrings. It is published by Riverhead. So let's talk about all of those things that you have done. What did I say? You wrote both of the films. Mm-hmm. You acted in both of the films. You produced both of the films?
I did.
And then you directed the next one. So where do you go from there? Own your own studio?
So who knows? You'll see what happens. I am. That is an area that we're looking into as we speak.
Oh, you're serious?
I'm totally serious. The great thing about it, when I started doing plays, I couldn't afford to pay anybody, so I had to do it all myself. And I've just never been able to let go of those hats. My brain has compartmentalized into every section has to have its own job.
Do you think it's because you grew up in such tough circumstances?
I totally believe that. Yes.
And now you feel you can do anything you set your mind to?
I really believe that, and with everyone that came out of New Orleans who was displaced, I've tried to. I did this thing with the Oprah and the Angel Network to build houses. So what I was trying to do was get people to understand that no matter what the circumstances, no matter where you've gone to, you can make it, and that's what I want my life to represent. Surely.
Well, I want to get to Oprah in a moment, but much has been made about the fact that you were abused by your father.
Yes.
In what way?
He was physically abusive and verbally as well. It was pretty traumatic growing up in those circumstances for me, and that's why.
Do you think that motivates you?
Totally. That's why my mother and I had such a bond, because she would take me with her to protect me from him, and it has motivated me in a great. In the beginning, the motivation was pretty negative because it was me trying to prove something to him, but now it's just a positive thing where I realize so many people are dealing with so many issues, and I can use my art to help.
Have you kept in touch with him?
Oh, yes. We talk often. He and my mother are still together after 40-something years, and I've made sure he's had every gift and every toy he's ever wanted in life. I harbor absolutely no hard feelings. I've forgiven him for everything, and that's what every show, every movie I've ever written about, there's an underlying theme of forgiveness.
Although Medea's brother is a bit of a jerk.
Yeah, Joe, yeah.
I don't know if he's based on your father.
No, he's not based on my father. He's actually based on my grandfather, but he is my favorite character to play. He really is.
What does your father think of Medea? Is he proud of this? I mean, have you made him proud of you in the way you hope to?
We've talked about it. Yes, he's very, very proud of everything that's happened. He was at the premieres for both movies and at the shows every time I go into town. So yes, he's very proud.
What about the kids you grew up with? Are they surprised to see this, or did they always feel, Tyler had this drive? I'm not surprised at all.
To be honest with you, I don't know very many. Most of them were murdered or in jail or displaced. So I don't know I don't remember very many people that I grew up with.
Well, a few of them have wound up in Atlanta after
Katrina.
Sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
They don't call you on the phone?
Yeah. No, I don't know very many people from my childhood.
Is it true that Oprah Winfrey has inspired your work?
Yes, totally. I was in New Orleans watching one of her shows, and she said it was cathartic to write things down. And that, me writing down my own childhood experiences, became my first show, which was I Know I've Been Changed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you didn't just write the shows. You also performed in them and wrote the music.
Yes.
I forgot to mention before that you co-wrote all the lyrics and music in the films.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been.
And do you sweep up the soundstage afterwards?
You joke, but I do, man. I'm around cleaning up, not because I have to, but because it can be cathartic at times.
So, what was the response when you started doing these performances?
When it first started for me, we started with I was expecting 1,200 people in the audience, and there were only 30. So to go from there and end up being homeless but chasing your dream to become to this place is amazing, because right now we hold the box office record from the Kodak Theater to the Constitution Hall in D.C. to the Beacon, 40,000 people a week strong.
What happened when you were homeless?
I slept in my car it was a 3-month period when I couldn't afford the pay-by-the-week hotel. So it was a difficult time, but it was because I had always invested every dime I had into the shows.
But you knew that this was a temporary situation.
Yes.
Or at least you felt it was a temporary.
I felt it was temporary, and I always had the option of returning to New Orleans, which for me wasn't an option.
And what would you have fallen back on if the theatrical thing hadn't worked out for you?
I never planned anything else. I knew that this was it for me. I just knew that this was my destiny and my faith, and I kept praying and just believing that one day God would see me through to this place.
But you also were this is theater that was aimed at a black audience.
Specifically, yes.
So that would be different than something that you just would do off Broadway here in New York.
Right.
And that means you tailored it for that audience?
No, what I did was and what I'm still doing today and finding that it has universal appeal is just speaking about specific subject matters. When you talk about love and faith and forgiveness and redemption, or trying to find your way through an abusive situation, everybody, no matter who you are, can relate to that. So those are the stories that I was telling in the beginning, and I'm still telling now.
Although some people in the movie business must have been surprised by the breadth of the audience you wound up drawing.
There was quite a few surprises.
I'm sure they said this is just going to only appeal to the black community and
only to a small percentage of the black community. Actually, the reviews on Diary of a Mad Black Woman were terrible, and I didn't even make Medea's Family Reunion available for review because of that. But the audiences are so endeared to this character and my way of storytelling that it opened both movies.